In this video, I'd like to discuss why so many expats are unhappy. So the first reason is that there is self-selection bias where the guys who are happy back home, they're not going to be doing research on how to move to Thailand. If things were working out for you back in the West, you wouldn't be researching other countries. Some guys have been through divorce, lost some loved ones, some guys have lost their job. There's a lot of different reasons why a guy would want to live overseas, but some of them are not good. You like the people, you like the food, you like the weather, you like the activities, whatever it may be, is the reason why you'd want to live overseas. It's similar to the pioneers. You know much about the pioneers, then you know that many of them did not have a whole lot back home. Not all, but I think that many were in a position where they felt like whatever they were looking for was much, much greater than what they'd left behind. I know that some were also fed lies depending on why they went out west. Some were told, oh, there's these untold riches. Some assumed that they were going to get lucky in the gold rush and they maybe didn't have a good way to make money back home. So they were thinking, oh, I'll go out there and I'll get gold and everything will work out. But it shouldn't be assumed that everybody was going for a good reason. I think it's the same with expats. Some are going for a relationship, which when they get there, they find out it was fake. Some are going for the weather, which they find out, oh, I went during high season and it was perfect. Now I'm here year round. The low season weather is not to my liking. There's a lot of reasons why some will come across as unhappy. Certainly some have a substance issue where they're spending all their free time in the bar. They went from working a full-time job. Now they find themselves with a lot of time on their hands and they don't really know how to handle it. Number two is unmet expectations. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Some, they find that when they get there and they start living there full time, it's nothing like vacation. Now they have a lot of responsibilities and bills they have to pay. They have responsibilities to their significant other. Maybe their SO has children. The lifestyle that they thought they were going to live is not the one that they're living. Some may have really enjoyed the place on a vacation budget, but they find their day-to-day life budget doesn't provide the same amount of entertainment and dining and travel. It's just not what they expected. Some also find that they enjoy the beach destination for a week at a time, but living there every day gets tiresome. They are surrounded by other tourists. They may get treated like a tourist if they go to a different neighborhood in the city. They may have some experiences that really don't line up with what they thought the dream would be like. While they thought it was going to be every day going to the beach, they have to end up spending time trying to handle certain things like banking or finding the grocery store that carries the Western groceries that they like, sorting through relationships. The first person they meet is not what they thought, and then the second person they meet isn't necessarily right for them either. So there are unmet expectations there where I think some guys go in thinking, okay, I'm going to land and within a week I'm going to find my perfect apartment. I'm going to be married. I'm going to have children. I'm going to be a regular in my favorite local restaurants, and all that stuff takes time. It can take years. Oh, and I'm going to learn the language in a week too. And so you can quickly see how the idealism, the utopianism gets out of control, and people, they thought that they were moving to the ideal, and then being there long term, they start to see things that they don't like and that start to outweigh the good. And they may also forget about what life was like back in their home country. They're not really making an apples to apples comparison. They have some bad memories back home because maybe they had a stressful job. Moving overseas, there's the absence of that, so they assume that that would make them happy, but they haven't really found something to fill their time. So that's why I think a lot of guys should find some things to fill their time that are pro-social, not just go from 60 to 0, right? Not be going from a full busy life with a lot going on every day, work, chores, responsibilities, etc., to now they've got all this free time and they don't know what to do with it. Some may also feel like they got treated like a local back home and they are used to that feeling or sense of community. They come overseas and they've got to rebuild that. So I think some too maybe underestimated how much time it took for them to build those connections back home. They're dreading or regretting having to be in that new position all over again. So unmet expectations was number two. Number three is that they get into certain kinds of commitments that keep them in a certain area or around certain people that they later find out they don't like. I mean, I think I mentioned this earlier. Some guys will sign a year lease after staying in a building for a couple of days, and then they find out, well, the first night was a Sunday night, people were chilled out and getting ready for the work week, but on Monday through Friday, there's a karaoke bar that they didn't notice. And so a place that they enjoyed for the night, now they're committed to a year and they've got to hear karaoke, or maybe the neighbor has a bunch of dogs that bark all night, or cats that fight all night, whatever it may be. What they thought was going to be peaceful and enjoyable and relaxing is now a place they dread living. And so, yeah, they could leave, but they're already giving up probably 2 months rent just to have learned that lesson. And so that's part of it. They get into these commitments. Second part of that would be they get in a relationship on day 2. They load up a dating app, or maybe they've already got a dating app loaded up and they're seeing somebody they haven't met yet. And then they get there and that person is not who they said they were. The person doesn't match the pictures. Maybe the person has some children when they made no mention of having children at any point prior. Maybe they find out that person is in a relationship or married, and there's going to be some legal consequences to them being with them. It's a little bit of unmet expectations, but then also finding out that they made certain commitments that were premature in nature. Maybe some others, they're going there to meet a friend. Maybe they know somebody online and they've decided, hey, we're going to go into business when I get there. And then they commit to the business really quickly, which does happen. And then within a couple of weeks, they realize they've been taken. And so now they're in this awkward position where they were counting on living in this town or city. They were counting on having this business to occupy their time. And now they found out they've been taken for a ride. Their illusion or their dream has already been damaged, like right off the bat. The number 4 reason, I just mentioned it, getting involved into a business that doesn't work. Maybe they had a dream in their home country. Hey, I'm going to retire to Latin America and I'm going to open a bar because that was my dream, but couldn't do it in my home country or home city. It was too expensive. It was too time consuming. I had a full-time job. I had all these commitments that would not allow me to live that bar owner lifestyle. Then they get down there and they find out it's not going to work. I don't recommend opening a bar or business of any kind outside of your home country. I think there's just too many risks. Unless you're maybe somebody that you're returning to your parents' home country and you've got connections there and you know people that the average person wouldn't know. You have certain insights into business suppliers or culture or finances or whatever it may be, and you have some kind of permission to do it, right? I don't recommend getting involved in any kind of business if you don't have permission. In general, I don't recommend trying to make money locally. I think it's far better to bring in money from elsewhere. I think you'll hear that a lot from long-time seasoned expats. Sometimes bad actors will try to convince you to be involved in a business because they themselves may be upside down. They may have run out of money. They may have run into financial problems in paradise, and they're going to try to convince you to bail them out. Oh yeah, I've got this great location. The bar is full every night. We just need 25K. Things will get great. We're just going through the low season right now. That's why it's empty. During the high season, it'll be packed full. You have all kinds of charlatans that are willing to take advantage of the unsuspecting newbie. I often find it's much more common that people run into issues with other expats than it is with locals. I have not run into issues with local people in any country I've been to, but I have met some dodgy expats, overheard some strange conversations, encountered people I don't want anything to do. Number 5 is not enough money, and this is the most obvious one, but I thought I'd save it for last. People underestimate the costs of their preferred lifestyle. Do you want to live in a modern big condo? Do you want to eat Western imported food every day? Do you want to belong to the fancy gym in the city? Do you want to have a car? All these things cost money, in many cases more than what they'd cost you in your home country due to taxes and permits. Also imported goods, you're paying a lot of money to have Western food brought to the non-Western country that you're living in. These costs can really take people by surprise. I know that when I went to the Philippines, for example, the first time, I was surprised at what certain things cost. I noticed that, hey, if I want to go have a steak, that's going to cost me 25 bucks. At the time, the same steak in my home country would cost maybe $16, $17. Not everything is going to be cheap compared to what you might be thinking. Also, long-term budgeting is not the same as vacation budgeting. Some people expect to live a vacation lifestyle on a more moderate budget, and it's just not practical. If you're used to coming on vacation and having Western food every day for a week and staying in a nice hotel room for a week, going out drinking every night for a week, and then you're living there full time, that lifestyle, one, it can get boring. It's not necessarily exciting from what I can tell to be doing that every day, but two, it's not really practically affordable. Hotel rooms are affordable compared to the West, but they're not so affordable that most people will be able to just live in them in perpetuity. Western food isn't that bad if you're just there for a week, but now if you're buying it every day, you're paying a lot more than you'd pay for local food. And of course, bars are obvious. Back in your home country, you might have gone on the weekends, but if you're trying to go every day, that's adding up a lot. I'd also throw travel in there. I mean, if you're trying to have a driver take you places every day, that's going to cost a lot more than taking public transit. Also, if you want to be flying somewhere every weekend, that's going to also be costly. If you want to have a certain standard of living, then it's not going to be as cheap as what it's made out to be. I know a lot of people say retire to here or there for $1,000 a month. That's a normal day-to-day life. That's cooking at home, that's staying at your apartment and watching TV, that's going for walks. You're not living a $1,000 a month lifestyle, eating at nice restaurants every night, jet setting around the country or region, entertaining a partner, significant other. All these things will add to your costs. I hope this video has been helpful. This has been a quick video, 5 reasons why expats are unhappy. I'd be happy to get more into it, into more videos. Let me know if this was helpful to you by giving a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel down below, and we'll see you next time.